My students, here you can see as the second part. You have so far done the first part. Now you have to move to second part. 4 part we have to cover. The history of 18th century is over. My students, for the sake of convenience, I have made you the part, and later I will give you the diagram. Of this second part, we have to make a study of colonialism. Actually, colonialism is having the different meaning in context of the European rule in Asia, African countries. Earlier, the term colonialism was being used, means ki upniveshwad, ki if some people from one region are going to be settled in a massive number in other region, so that was supposed to be a colony earlier. For example, a large number of Indians were settled in Southeast Asia, so some historians even prefer to call the Southeast Asian region as Indian colony. So that is known as colonialism earlier. But in European context, in order to maximize its economic benefit, if the European country or European powers used to control some region of Asia and Africa for its own economic gains, so that is known as colonialism. So in case of India, you can say that the British tried to develop India as a colony after the Battle of Plassey and Buxar and to maximize the economic benefit from India. So firstly, my student, let us be clear about the larger implication of the term colonialism, and then you have to make a study of the different subparts of colonialism, that is the mercantile phase, industrial phase and financial phase. Colonialism was basically an economic relation, but it was going to affect the political, social, cultural structure as well. Here my point is that Britain came to India, France went to Indonesia, France went to Indochina, Dutch went to Indonesia. So why did they go there? Simply for fulfilling their political arrogance or military superiority or doing some welfare works? What? For taking economic benefit. But once they control the region, so in order to maximize their economic benefit, they had to formulate certain political policy, administrative policy, social policy and cultural policy. These policies are simply a means to maximize the economic benefit from the region. So my students, whenever you have to define what is colonialism, so firstly you will make this point clear that colonialism is such an ideology or a system which believes that a particular region as a colony exists for the betterment of or for the better benefit of the metropolitan state or the mother state. So that is known as colonialism. But if he is going to pose you the second question, what do you mean by colonialism? You will make this point clear that colonialism is basically an economic relation, but it was going to affect the political, administrative, social and cultural structure as well. Because if you are developing a colony, so it means in order to have the control over the colonies, you have to formulate certain policies. So what you know as the political policies, social policies, cultural policies, so these policies are not independent. That is the part and parcel of your larger economic objective. So here my point is that while making the study of colonialism, we have to keep following things in our mind. While making the study of colonialism, we have to keep following things in our mind. Point first, colonialism should be viewed as a series of contradictions. Colonialism should be viewed as a series of contradictions, poverty versus development phenomena. In other words, the essential intended impact of the colonialism is backwardness and poverty, but its unintended impact was development. My students, a group of historians are working behind that. There's Theodore Beck, Mauritian, John Strachey, Richard Strachey, etc. So these scholars, even Percival Griffith, So these scholars try to prove that ki bhai, it is your foreign scholars, or you can say it is the European countries which have carried modernization in Asia and Africa. So at least give some credit to them ki they have done some sort of modernization to you. So in reply to this, we have to give this statement that colonialism should be viewed as a series of contradictions. A series of contradictions means that the essential impact of the colonial rule is poverty and backwardness. Essential impact of the colonial rule is poverty and backwardness. But it is in this context the colonial power is compelled to establish certain institutions and to bring certain reforms in that country. In long term, such reforms even give birth to the progress and development as well in that country. So, but it was not the intended objective of the colonial power. But rather what as, or in sum total, I am going to conclude that the poverty and backwardness is the intended impact of colonialism, while what as development, so that is the unintended impact of colonialism. Next one, you come to know that colonialism should be studied as a structure, not as a policy. It should be studied as a structure, not as a policy. In other words, the policy can change with the change of officers, but the structure would remain the same. So it hardly matters whether it might be Lord Hastings or Bentinck, Lytton or Ripon. We can underline some change in policies, but not in structure. My students, here I have to make you clear. Actually, another point should also be equally emphasized. You are making a study of colonialism, so please make a study of colonialism not as a policy but as a structure. A structure means that policy can change with changing governor generals or changing administrator, but the structure would remain to be same. And what is the structure? Here I have made you clear. Even colonialism can be subdivided into three phases: mercantilist phase, industrial phase, and financial phase. So in all the three phases, the three different structure, and the officers who had to visit India at this time or during this duration, so they had to basically work within the formulated policy associated with that particular structure. Although the different governor generals could leave their imprint on contemporary administration, because even you cannot completely deny the role of ideology and the role of personality, but basic, you can say, factor or the basic catalyst is structure itself. So that's why you come to know that Marx was among the earliest thinkers who made a serious study on colonialism. He divided colonial policy in two phases: monopoly phase till 1813 and free trade policy 1813 onwards. Later, an Indian Marxist, R.P. Dutt, while making the study of Marx and Lenin, divided colonialism into three phases: mercantilist phase, industrial phase, and financial phase. So in this way, you will come to know. Note, in fact, the British policies towards India must be studied in context of colonial interest. All the administrators from Clive to Curzon were guided by the same motive. So my students, now I will give you a diagram in the next one class, and then you just move from colonialism onwards. So I'm leaving here for today. Thank you very much. I'll see you in the next one. Today I have covered up to this point. Then I will go further.